So Bevy Smith is the ultimate fashionista and media diva that you can't get enough of. And of course, behind every great woman is a fabulous story of how she rose to be all that she is. And Bevy is sharing her story and some insider advice in her new memoir, Bevelations. And Bevy Smith is here with me now. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hello, my love. I'm so happy to be here. And thank you for having me on to talk about Bevelations, lessons from a mother, auntie, bestie. So you and I fall into the bestie category because the subtitle is all about mother is the name that was given to me by my gay adopted sons.
Yeah.
So they call me mother. Auntie is what all the young women that have been watching me on TV over the years feel very connected to me. They're like, you remind me of my rich auntie, or you're my cool auntie. And that I always tell people, I don't mind being an auntie as long as you're 35 and under. Like, I can't be your auntie if you're 42. Right. And then finally, if you are over 40, if you're 40 and over and everything, then we can be besties. And that's what I've also gotten over the years in my career. People feel connected to me. People feel very like I'm a familiar force to them.
Well, I want to talk to you about growing up in Harlem. Because it was a very different Harlem. Talk about what Harlem was like when you were growing up there and what it gave you, how it shaped who you are.
Yeah, I always tell folks that I grew up during the Black Power movement of Harlem. So this is post-civil rights. This is the, say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud. This is me growing up and going to school and having all Black teachers. This is me growing up and entering classrooms where every single day was Black history because the walls were plastered with Black iconic figures. And then, of course, you had all of this Black power going on in the streets. Like, I remember I say in the book that, my parents would never allow us to take off school for Black Solidarity Day. Their solidarity was to the residents of 2813 8th Avenue, which is where I grew up. Yeah. But that kind of thing was around us all the time. Red, black, and green, being very proud of your roots, going back to Africa, that kind of talk. And then on the flip side of it, it was also, Harlem was in the clutches of a heroin epidemic. And so it was like the zombie apocalypse on, 116th Street. And people would just be walking around, nodding off and things like that. They used to call it Junkie's Paradise. And so I grew up between these two things. It was like, a lot of Black pride. And then you also saw the scourge that was threatening to tear down the whole community, which was the heroin epidemic, fueled by people that looked like us that were selling the drugs.
Yeah.
So it was really an interesting time. But the things that I took away from growing up in those kind of spaces is that, when I had to go downtown into the workplace and I was a young Black woman and there weren't a lot of people that looked like me, I never felt less than, because I had come from a place with such a rich legacy and history, and I knew my culture. So I knew that I walked down the same streets as James Baldwin, as Zora Neale Hurston, as Langston Hughes, as Countee Cullen. I also knew David Dinkins was my neighbor, Percy Sutton. All these iconic people were from my community, of my community. And so I knew that I was just as good, and if not better.
It just seems like, Bevy, as I read this book, it's just like every step you took, even if it felt like a misstep to you at the time, was just preparing you for what it is that you have become today and what you are doing today.
The freedom to be a creative. That's all I wanted. And that was the whole goal. I just didn't want to be beholden to a schedule. I didn't want to be beholden to doing things that I didn't want to do any longer. I walked away from this very successful, very prestigious position at Rolling Stone magazine. And, I just knew I just didn't want to do it anymore. And I knew that I just wanted a life where I woke up every day and I had the opportunity to decide what I wanted my life to look like. I could tailor it in that way.
Well, Bevy, I could talk to you forever and ever, but I just, this book is so good I love it so much. And I want to let everybody know that you can pick up Bevelations, Lessons from a Mother, Auntie Bestie. It is out everywhere right now. Bevy, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, my love.